Today I'm going to do something I thought about doing for a long time. It wasn't an easy decision, but I've started to think this is the way to go. So today I'm starting my OnlyFans project. I guess I better get on with it. So this hobby project was inspired by a fictional character, I hope, called Natomi Scouto from the Sump City Radio podcast. She is the atmospherics reporter, because there is no weather in Necromunda, in the Underhive at least anyway. It is all controlled by fans and heating ducts and I suppose moisture from the domes and things like that. So to create your own cool air if it is getting too hot when those thermal vents open up, most people would rely on fans. So I am going to build a shop that sells only fans. The other thing that made me think about this is I've quickly realised while converting miniatures recently and terrain how many fans there are in the Games Workshop product range for terrain, be it Zone Mortalis, Sector Mechanicus, you name it. There are fans in everything. All the terrain seems to have some kind of fan. So there's dozens of fans on spare bits of terrain that I've got lying around. Some of which, like that's the main support gantries for the Sector Mechanicus, the walkways. Some of which are a little bit too large to put in a piece of terrain, like on some of the walkways, catwalks, things like that. But I don't know how big this piece of terrain is going to be. My only, he says, sweeping the fans to one side, my only limitation is ideally I want it to fit on the Necromunda tiles and lock into place. That would be nice. If it can lock into place, just sit on the tiles quite nicely, but not take up too much of the tile. I'm hoping to take up maybe 3x3, possibly. Or I don't really want to take up half the tile. I don't want it to be more than 4 of the squares long. So each square is 2 inches. So basically I'm going to start drawing up some plans for my OnlyFans shop, which obviously sells OnlyFans. There you go. So here goes. I want the building to be open as well, so you can see inside the merchandise. And I'm trying not to use those lovely armoured shipping containers. I do love them, but I have used them on so many builds now, it's probably getting boring for you guys. So I've got a lot of the stronghold, the gang hideout. I have lots of bits of that left over. I did have 2 boxes. Don't really use it that much anyway, so I really need to make use of that. And of course I've got a lot of the slidey doors for Necromunda as well left over. Lots and lots of them. Walkways, gantries, pillars, columns, you name it, I have got a buckload. So I'm messing around with the stronghold and trying to work out what I can build. The stronghold is a really good kit, but I just can't seem to get my head around how I could adapt it into something else. So what I've basically done is the main wall sections that you can easily lock together, I've just done back to back like so. I'm going to cut these two bits off here so I can stick them back to back in that little recess there. In the Stronghold kit you do have a few little spare, where is the sprue? Spare little bits like that, which you may recognise from the edges of the platforms. And I'm going to stick them in there just to fill in those gaps, so nice and flush. When that's done, like I said, capping off that end there and start blocking off some of the doors. I haven't stuck this one in for a second because I've been gently scraping away so I can pop that little grate out even. So when I do stick it in, I want to stick a ladder in going upstairs. So that's going to be the first floor. And then I have a cunning plan for the next set of stairs, because if you use the stairs from the Zone Mortalis kit, they do take up a fair bit of room, even if you do it 90 degrees. But I think I've got something a bit fancy with some leftover parts, which you'll see in a second. So these tiny little pieces that are joined the Sector Mechanicus walkways together, I thought I could make a nice staircase with. So the plan is just to glue one there and one there diagonally, and just keep going around in a spiral and see what it looks like. So shall I begin? This could be utter awful. I don't know what's going to turn out like. I got a blocked end. No one likes a blocked end. Hot tip, literally. Just to clean out my plastic glue. It's the only hot tip that I'll give you, I swear. I'll just do a few like that until the glue sets, and I'll glue them all together. A little bit there, a little bit there. So I'm using plastic glue for this. It doesn't take very long to bond, to be fair. So when you glue all the pieces together, you should get yourself something like this. Obviously you can adjust to size, so whatever gantry or platform or walkway it's going on, you can adjust it with fairly regular intervals, as long as the centre spine is straight. It looks like quite a nice little staircase from bits and pieces. So the next piece I've put down was the struts, the stays for the gunk tank. Still trying to use as much of the Stronghold pieces as possible, trying to prove that you can make something out of it other than the Stronghold. And with the little pieces on the bottom like that, it does slot rather nicely into those little triangular edge pieces, pointy pieces. So they slot in just like that, and then I glue this platform on the top. So I've started putting barriers on the side, purely because obviously 41st Millennium, they really care about safety. That needs to be done. So assembling these, obviously from, you guessed it, the gang Stronghold. So using up the bits while I can. Quite impressed with the staircase. So give it a little bit of a slight curve flourish just at the end. I could have kept it short. I was even thinking about possibly shortening the legs just very slightly, just so I can get more in there, so it curves around a little bit more. But then it becomes a little bit impractical about putting models in there. On the back side, or technically the front side of the model, I guess, I've got a nice curtain up there to hide the wares. or try to reduce people looking at it so much. Still, I'm in about gluing that in there, and a bit of plastic card and some rivets and things on the side, because I haven't still quite decided if I want a doorway there or there. I think there is too symmetrical for me. It's Necromunda, supposed to be a bit too cobbled together, and at the moment it's looking a bit too neat. So I'm going to glue a couple of these on, but yeah, definitely a little bit worried that it's becoming too neat. It's still pretty nice to have some kind of like mini stronghold, I guess, but that's not what this piece is going to be for. So I'm going to glue these on here, just like that. And one more to go. Obviously gluing it on there. Okay, so I've got some fences up, some barriers, dropping stuff on the floor as you do. Cabling underneath there, that will all become apparent in a minute. Barricades on there. So I would like, seeing as this is like a workshop where there's fans, and I'm going to have them littered all around here and underneath this workspace here. Thinking about putting a tool bench down possibly, but then I might keep that for a mechanics workshop at some stage. So I like the idea of this thing, maybe cutting the top off there to put underneath, and then cutting this up to glue that on. It's a nice long extension sticking out on the side, because I want to put this on so I can winch my fans up and down, because how are my large fans going to fit through this hole? How are they going to be delivered? How are they going to be maintained and repaired up here? They're not just going to throw them up. And yeah, it irks me. Maybe take the fans to pieces and feed them through the hole. No, I want them winched up. So I'm thinking, have a winch assembly here, and you could always swing them over to there. Maybe get rid of this section, purely so then you can winch stuff up. I do have a little platform that you could stick on the side, like one of those. I can stick it on the side and then have that barrier there. I think that might look a little bit better to winch some fans on. So I might take that off and adapt it slightly. Okay, so the crane worked out quite well. I decided not to put the edge on the platform there, the barrier, because if you're swinging a fan or something heavy over there, you don't want to get in the way. I'm sure no one will climb up that stanchion and get into this highly secure OnlyFans compound. But yeah, there it is. So there's the crane. I thought it was pretty good because the support I've put on the beam doubled up as a gluing point for up there. I was thinking about putting it on the very edge so you could pivot it and then swing the engines on, but it was way too long for that. I know I'm going to knock it off and break it. After all, I want to keep this whole piece modular, so it's going to come away as one piece and slot into the tiles. Yeah, it's not looking too bad at the moment. It's going the way I imagined it in my mind. Now, when it comes to the building on the top, what am I going to do? So I've decided to go for the good old-fashioned column and stick it on there. And I'm going to keep it open plan. So when I eventually stick it there, what my plans are, it's going to have loads and loads of monitors side by side surrounding all of the inside of the little studio there, and have a little seat in front of it. I was obviously going to cut those two tabs off. Now I don't know if I should go completely open and cut that little angled section off, or even glue the other angled section on there, which is fine, but then you won't see the detail possibly quite so much. I'm not sure about putting a roof on it or not. If I put a roof on it, you really can't see a lot in there at all. I'm shining a light in there. You really can't see a lot. You have to shine a light in there to see the detail. It seems a little bit wasted. And if I put another angled section on there, it's very small gap. Some models can't get into it, and how would they record? So I think I'm going to stick a roof on it and cut that section off, keeping it a bit more open. Now the roof, I was thinking about just putting a piece of tarp on there, or potentially something like that, and it still makes it very, very, very dark, doesn't it? I do have a few aerials and antennas and things like that for broadcasting purposes, so I mean broadcasting and receiving radio signals, because radio signals in the Underhive are very important, not just for picking up some city radio, just to keep you slightly saner. But no, I think I'm going to go with a roof of some kind, not just a piece of tarp. Okay, so that's what I got so far. Still got to add the fans to that section. I'll show you how I'll do that in a second. And the recording studio is there. Now, I think it needs a roof of some kind, because I would like to put some aerials and antennas on, but I am worried that they are likely to break off. So I don't know, leaving it out in the open, it feels like every structure needs a roof, really, in Necromunda, because you don't know what's going to drip on you. It's not always pleasant. So, nearly there. Like I said, I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the platform there. And the recording studio just there. So, many of my fans I'm going to keep as one section. So that topper there, I'll just trim the back a little bit so it can sit a bit flusher. And things like this, I will just obviously trim off the mold lines and the little bits of sprue that you get on there. Obviously cutting away from myself, being super careful, but that's just me, so I will tidy those bits up. But other pieces like this, I want that fan out of there, so I'm going to cut that off with some trusty snippers to start with, and then trim and tidy up with this knife. Ones like this, I'm not entirely sure, because I do want people to see the fan. It is a fair old chunk, so what I might do is just trim a little bit off there. I don't know, because I really do like the piece. It is quite deep, but I do like that thing. It's pretty cool. Okay, it's about time for paint, I think. So I've added a load of fans. It's a big turbine there, obviously little turbines. A couple of blades and stuff in there, which I'll show you on the end project. And I've stuck this little tower there, which I believe was from the Objectives sprue from the last edition of 40k. I just thought they were cool little things, so like that doctor's like surgery with kind of like a torture chair. I was thinking like a doctor's surgery for Necromunda at some stage. I know Ben from the 2Ps has done a lovely like a Doc Holiday surgery. I thought that was wicked. But yeah, I wonder what kind of spin I can put on mine. Ooh. I'm already thinking about the next project. Stop it. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's the signal tower. Not as flimsy as a couple of aerials from like the new repulsor tank and things like that. That's what I was going to put on there. But I thought they would get snapped off, knocked off, or bent. That is certainly more robust. The whole project didn't take too long. I think I took about an hour and a half though, deciding what kind of roof I should put on this. Obviously I could put the slot in piece that you get with the normal pillars, which does still slot in. But I thought it was kind of making the inside look a bit too dark, which is fine if the monitors are quite bright. As a contrast, a very dark room, bright monitors. But you have to kind of get down this kind of level to see inside, which kind of, you know, reduces what you can see. And I want you to pretty much see the monitors from, you know, good 90 degrees on this building. So yeah, it's fairly open plan on top there. I was thinking about putting some check plate. I do have a little bit of check plate. I could just put a little bit of square there possibly. But truth be told, I can't remember where I put my check plate. I can't find it. I've obviously put it down somewhere safe so I wouldn't lose it, which means I've lost it. Of course, I could always stick another one of these on there as well, but I think it looks a bit too permanent possibly then. I want it looking kind of rickety. So I'll turn it slightly so you can see the fans. And also, remember I was saying about the big fan in there, the one that's on the floor at the moment, that one there. I cut the back off to make it nice and flat so it would stick on this platform. Well, those tiny little lugs that I cut off are perfect little handles. So never chuck anything away. So when you're cutting a bit off of a piece of terrain, you know, keep the rest of it. So for example, this little doowacky, which I will move just very slightly for you a second. There we go. Was part of a barrier, and I've kept the rest of the barrier. Don't chuck anything away. I had a load of these, and sometimes you just stick them together and, you know, to other pipes, and you don't really, you know, see inside. But I've cut one of them. I've cut the fan off there, and I've stuck it to this piece of terrain. Yeah, so like a rickety old rusty fan. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to throw some paint on this and then show you what I've done. All painted up, as if by magic. Super easy, took 5 seconds. I'm joking, it not fast at all. And of course, what is my OnlyFans store not complete without even an OnlyFans sign. So a little tour of the place. The recording studio up top, complete with screens. The glow effect was done with an airbrush. The main balcony, which I will tip and show you, making it nice and grimy with streaking grime. Don't want anything too bright. Of course, the door pops out, so I can have models walk in and out. And latches in firmly. And the biggest issue of the whole project was how to get it to clip into a Zone Mortalis board. But it does. I mean, it doesn't click as well as the columns and pillars and walls and things like that. But yeah, it's okay. It slots in, not interfering with anything else. And my main goal was for it to go in the center, not in these sections. It does overlap a little bit in these sections. I'll put it in and show you. Still on camera and knock everything over. Let's see how that goes, right? So I know it clicks in about there. In fact, I think I might have done it first time. There we go. So it clicks in nice and even. So that's going to go just before one of those. That goes there and that goes there. So yeah, it clips in okay. I'm pretty happy with the color scheme because this is my main color scheme of what I'm going to do the rest of the columns and walls on my normal terrain. Anything walkway wise, I'm doing this color, and I think I will do the main tiles like that as well. Still not entirely sure yet, haven't got to that stage. But yeah, pretty happy with this thing. So there you have it, my OnlyFans shop, which sells OnlyFans. So plenty of stuff from the gang stronghold, because I basically wanted to prove you can make something with a gang stronghold other than the gang stronghold. Obviously a little bit from the marketplace as well, as you see there. some columns and walls section as well, and some barricades. I'm trying to do all my barricades yellow as well as the stairs. But yeah, a little computer screen there glowing. So as you can come in from the main door, go up the ladder, go up these steps which remain with the joiners of the walkways, and into the recording studio up the top. Pretty happy with it. Bit of a silly project, I know, but I just basically wanted to make another piece of terrain with the bits I've got left over. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please hit that like button if you haven't done already, and please subscribe for some more great content. Stay safe, you wonderful people.